What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and as promised, I was going to go back to the 2022 Adventure Awaits bundle and review some of the things that you guys, a little more in depth, that you wanted me to cover. There was a lot of different options in that bundle, and I saw a lot of outcry for wanting to see more about Amulet at the Watcher's Pool. So we're going to start there, and if I have time in the next couple days/weeks, we'll cover all the other stuff. So I'll just remind you that I'll put a link in the description to the bundle if you'd like to pick up the bundle, but I'll also put a link to all of the individual parts within the bundle, like Amulet at the Watcher's Pool, if you'd like to pick that up. It did reach Best Copper Seller, and it does have 7 5-star ratings. And again, as a reminder, this only came out about 2 weeks ago as part of the bundle. And you can see there's a variety of stuff on here. Printer-friendly version, a couple different maps and things like that. But let's go ahead and pull it up, and we can go ahead and take a look through it. It is 35 pages, so you've got a sizable amount. And as I said earlier, it does have bookmarks, which makes it a big bonus for me, especially if you're going to be playing in using it on your phone or some other tablet or something. I also will say you can see all these red bars, which are annotations within the PDF. So if you click on them, it will take you to that section within the PDF, which is, again, something that I feel like should start to become a standard if it isn't already, but it seems like more often than not, it is a nice to have. So glad that it's here. Let's continue moving on. So, again, I will say there will be spoilers for this adventure, so if you're planning to play in it, perhaps click away, but if you are planning to run it, perhaps we can learn some stuff together. So, let's talk about the background. We talked about this a little bit last time, but it says, a sect of followers of Enas have broken off from the church and formed the Children of Dusk, a cult bent on using this god's fortune god's power for evil purposes. Till recently, children had not made any moves, the Children of the Dusk, that is. However, a few days ago, they made their first big move. They attacked the Watcher's Pool, a temple dedicated to an aspect of the fortune god in the Spirit Lands, hoping to find the powerful amulet hidden within the temple. So far, they haven't been able to find it, but they plan to hold a dark ritual using it if they manage to get their hands on it. So it does talk a little bit about the area here of Frebon Vale. The Valley of Frebon Vale, called after the Frebon River that runs through it, is a montane region with a lot of ecosystem variety. High up the Shielding Peak Mountains act as a snowy barrier to the lands beyond, while the barren wastelands of the highly mystical Spirit Lands are on the other side of the valley. Travel is rough. There's one trail that goes all the way up Fogsore's Watch and into the mountain pass beyond. Because of this, the settlements in the valley are retroactively, relatively, isolated. The Spirit Lands are an area with a lot of divine and spiritual energy, and that's kind of where this is all going to take place. You can see I also really appreciate these. It's very simple, and I've seen it in a couple of WotC products, but I really like these kind of flow charts that kind of give us very high levels. So we have 5 chapters. Cultist Takeover, the characters go on the Freeborn Trail, then Frebon Vale, Chapter 2. The Artifact Hunt is Chapter 3, the Ambush is Chapter 4, and Back to Fogsores is Chapter 5. So, a little bit just about how the adventure runs. Appendix A has the stat blocks. So, we saw our flowchart, and we do have some maps, some of which have grids. I also really like the simplistic thing here, telling us what the grids are, right? So Watcher's Pool is a 34 by 28 grid. So if you're trying to draw this out on a battle map that you have, you know how big of a map you need. Maybe you have multiple ones, and you can say, oh, well, I don't need my 64 by 64, but I have a 48 by 48, so maybe I'll use that. And then again, we do also have some nice stuff here for scaling up and down the adventure. So the average, you can see 3 to 4 players, APL greater than 4, and we can see what the strength is and then how to assign things, whether we're going less characters or more. So let's move in to Cultist Takeover. So it says, begins with the party is summoned to the Church of Enas in Fogsore's Watch. So they make their way to the church, and they're going to meet Tovak, the human priest. And he tells them that a few days ago, the Children of the Dusk took over some temples in the Spirit Lands, and they took over, again, the Watcher's Pool, the titular temple, that they're trying to steal the amulet. All right. So it's basically just a little bit of an intro. He offers you 100 gold, and then we're going to move into sort of the open area when we head out to Chapter 2, which is Fogsore's Watch. So it does say there is a marketplace, a couple of things there to check out, and here is our map, right? Nothing too much to show off here. Here's the church, the marketplace, the fortress. This is sort of, and here's again, the Watcher's Pond. So we're moving into Frebon Vale into Chapter 2. So we do have several random encounters. We have 4 bandits, a bird attack, a calming river, and a captured cultist. Giant vultures are the bird of choice, which I thought was interesting. And then the calming river, not so calm. On a particularly calm stretch of the river, the characters come across 2 crocodiles. Crocodiles. Wow, there's a monster for you. Both with 1 frog on top of their snout. The crocodiles and the frogs are just enjoying the weather. And sometimes I really like random encounters that are like that, where they aren't actually a combat encounter. It's just like, here's a cool piece of, nature, or interesting architectural structure that has there's no secrets, no secret areas for you to open up or caches of treasure. It's just like, oh, that's a cool statue that's here. The party will obviously more than likely blow that out of proportion. I would imagine that the party members would be like, well, why are the frogs on the crocodiles? That's weird. What's that about? Why are they must not be really frogs? It's gotta be they're controlling the It's like stupid shit like this players will always do. And then who knows, right? You might just let them go and come up with all their crazy ideas. Because the crocodiles aren't like ambushing the party, they see them. There's plenty of space. Like it's not like they're washing their hands in the river and then they get eaten by a crocodile. They notice them. So you could just let the party go off on whatever tangents they want and then just reel it back. Or you could possibly see what crazy nonsense they come up with and then run with it. And then what was just a seemingly simplistic encounter of just like, oh, some interesting nature situations turns into this whole crazy thing about demon frogs controlling crocodiles, and your whole campaign goes elsewhere. Okay, so if we scroll down, we will get a map, as we can see here, showing off the region of Frebon Vale. And again, all of these are annotated, so if we click on them, it will take us to the associated section, which is nice. Again, this is just sort of a high-level understanding of what is here. And then again, once we continue to move on into the Spirit Lands, we have a separate set of random encounters. Cultists praying, runaway rhinos, which is an interesting one here, skeleton crew, which are actual skeletons, and a summoned salamander. I'm gonna go with the rhinos. These animal ones are really getting to me here, right? From seemingly out of nowhere, a crash, which is a group of rhinos, are called a crash. A crash of 3 rhinoceroses come hurtling toward the characters, forcing them to make a DC 15 dex save. If at least half the party succeeds on the check, the party manages to quickly get out of the way, with the quickly reacting party members dragging the slower ones out of the way. Characters that fail the check by 5 or more take a d8 bludgeoning damage as they're partially trampled. After that, the rhinos hurtle on and appear to vanish when they make it past the group. If less than half of the group succeeds on the check, the adventurers are not able to get out of the way, and the rhinos attack the party. Again, awesome. So again, next to the next section here, arrival at Beast's Banquet. After dangerous trek through the Spirit Lands, the party reaches Beast's Banquet. At first glance, the temple of Beast's Banquet looks like all the other buildings, but it's made of sandstone and worn down. A giant statue of some sort of beast stands at one end, with a portico extending from the beast to the steps at the entrance of the temple. We can see the actual amulet of the Watcher right here. And she'll describe the way to the Watcher's Pool Temple and begins to explain the nature of the artifact. I know it's hidden somewhere inside the temple. The priest in charge of the Watcher's Pool knows where it is exactly and how to get it. I sure hope he made it. It doesn't actually really give us... It says this about the nature of the artifact doesn't actually tell us too much about it other than that it's hidden. So then we move on to the artifact hunt, right? We're trying to find this artifact. So they've been searching for the Watcher's Amulet of the Watcher ever since they took over the temple. And we can see who's leading it. And here we have our maps of the temple here, a couple different options. The Hallowed Pool section, which does have some aspects to it, right? The Watcher's Pool. The temple's general features are summarized here. Despite regular maintenance, the energy in the Spirit Lands causes the building to quickly deteriorate. I thought it was actually for the pool, but this is just the location in general, lights, the ceiling heights, and so on. There are giant octopuses, 4 of them in the pool. They are guarding the hiding place of the Amulet of the Watcher, which I like. It reminds me of the Goonies. Let's see. Some ghosts. Again, the pool's guarded by giant octopuses. Let's go check out that. At the bottom of the north end of the pool, there is a mosaic in the form of an eye. Its tiles in, if the tiles in the northeast, southwest, southeast, and northwest are pressed, the eye will open to reveal the Amulet of the Watcher. The amulet can be safely taken from its hiding place, and which the eye will close. With the amulet recovered, the party is clear to make the trek back to Beast's Banquet. When the players are ready to leave Watcher's Pool, continue with the next chapter. Now, I'll be honest with you folks, maybe it's somewhere in there and I missed it, but on my first and second read-through of this, I cannot find what this amulet does. You now have it at the end of Chapter 3. Presumably, it's a magic item. Everybody's searching for it. It's literally referred to as an artifact. I'd love to know what it does. Maybe it's in here, but I didn't see it. We see here's the image of it right, a couple pages back. And right here, we have obtained it at the end of Chapter 3. So, now that we're making our way back, it says you could roll on the random encounter table if you so wish, but you're going to get attacked by cultists. You've done the dirty work of finding the amulet. Now they want it. So, the attack begins. We can see some of the cultists here are using spells as well. We see Spiritual Weapon, Hold Person. And then again, here's the temple at Beast Banquet, which we do have a little map here for it as well. So it says, let's see, if she survived the attack with the Children of Dust, she records it thereafter after securing away the Amulet of the Watcher. What's next? With the job done and a note proving it in hand, the characters can return to the church to collect their reward. So here's the thing. It seems like it's a MacGuffin, right? That it's the Amulet of the Watcher is designed for you to go and find it, retrieve the amulet, and then bring it back and give it to who you're supposed to. As many of us know in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, the players may not do that. But I think part of the design is the fact that there is no stats or anything associated with the amulet. Perhaps artifact is just purely a moniker and it's not entirely magical in any way, shape, or form. It may be as a sentimental artifact or something of those lines, or perhaps it's only an artifact and has usable magical ability when in the hands of a follower of Enas, whether they be the Children of Dusk or the more traditional followers. So it doesn't actually have any benefits for your party unless one of them, which again is something a D&D player might do, all of a sudden just decide to convert to be a follower of Enas so they can use this cool magic item. But again, I'm thinking possibly part of the design is we don't have stats or abilities for it to disincentivize the players from just deciding to keep it. Because if, the players find a super awesome magic item and then decide, oh, hey, we're going to give it back to this priest, but then we find out that it does super cool stuff that we want, we're going to keep it because it's awesome. And maybe that, again, was part of the design. So then we kind of make our way back to Fog Sores to turn it in. Thank Enas, we get our 100 gold reward, and that is that. Which is fine, but like I said, I still feel like I would like some stats. If we scroll through, we can see a variety of the different stat blocks here. Again, nothing too crazy. Here's our frogs from before. Again, a fair variety of different creatures that you'll find here as mixed in with different NPCs. Again, the stat blocks and stuff that we see here are all kind of the older version of stat blocks pre-Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse, where the stats, the spells are kind of included in the main stat block, not in the actions, but that's fine. And then again, we have our maps here at the end, all of the different maps that we saw for the different regions. And then again, that's it to the end of the information. So again, a really fun kind of lower level encounter that you can throw at your party. You could just easily drop Frebon Vale anywhere within your realm if you want to, whether it's in an existing thing like, say, the Forgotten Realms or your homebrew world. It's a very easy drop in, drop out. It is lower level. Tier 1 is the design for it and set for 4 to 6 hours, which is why you see so many beasts and animals, crocodiles, rhinoceroses, giant octopus, and so on. But it also is nice because it dives into a lot of variety of enemies and stuff that is more realistic, I guess I'd say. We're not fighting things like dragons and cockatrices. We're fighting rhinoceroses and giant octopuses. A lot of this is... But anyway, I really like the adventure. Like I said, my only question is, what does the amulet do? Because, like I said, if it does cool things, players might just decide, you know what? Screw it. We're going to keep this thing. But perhaps, like I said, that was part of the design. It is also, there are instructions when you go and download this to import this into a virtual tabletop as well, because the maps are there. So you can use, just use it in Roll20, Foundry, Fantasy Grounds, whatever you would like. So, just taking a quick look at the reviews. They are, again, very positive. Let's go ahead and take a quick look. Had great fun playing this one shot. Lots of versatility in the kinds of friends and foes that you can play. So playing it more than once or using different parts of it in an existing campaign is definitely possible. This was my maiden voyage adventure, and I loved every piece of it. The setting was truly immersive, and in our run, the DM made sure to accompany it with the right music for each scene. And an evocative, immersive story beautifully presented. The adventure captures the feeling of a purposeful journey to stop a traveling enemy more than most. So don't necessarily take my word for it. Take the 3 reviews that we can read here on Drive-Thru RPG. They all seem to be fans of it. The descriptions, again, I kind of went through it quickly, but it is kind of boring if I just sit here and read through the adventure from top to bottom, and also disincentivizes you to go pick it up for yourself. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this deeper dive into the Amulet of the Watcher's Pool. Probably a little bit longer video than it needed to be, but it's Ted from Nerd Immersion. I do nothing if run-on sentences and talk much longer than I need to for things that should be short videos, but you know that by now. So, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.